Okay, guys, exciting time. Our new bracket showed up from IMS. If you guys remember where we left off on the quad cab, we were trying to fit our TBM brakes onto our rear axle here, and we ran into a snag with the caliper brackets. You guys could see here where I had to trim this one down, and it was wrong. So I reached out to Lynn over at Firepunk, and he got me these from IMS. And if we align our holes here, you guys could see the caliper will actually be slid back. And we were about right, about a 1/4 inch. And then if you look where it was hitting the caliper before, they've actually clearanced that. So very excited to try to put these on now. Get you guys set up here while I fumble around with this. It'll be fun. Okay, so it's pinched, and now the rotor spins, but like there's no way to center this. So it's too far, it's too close on the inboard side, and we mounted the caliper on the inboard side. So if I shim it, it'll move it into the rotor. This is mounted on the inboard side. So if I shim this at all, it moves it in. And if I flip the rotor the other way, it'll actually move it in. So kind of curious. Well, you know, I guess this video is gonna be put on pause because, man, I'll tell you what, I was frustrated before. little past that at this point, but the brackets are closer to being right. However, there's no way to center the rotor. And if you guys look, here's our old brackets. Okay, they're mirror images, so like one side's longer, this side's a little, like if you look at like the way it swoops, they're different. Okay, they're mirror images. The standoffs oppose each other. This side, when you hold the mounting holes together, he made them identical. So yeah, pretty awesome. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the set that he sent Firepunk probably has identical brackets as well. So if I had to guess, I would say I have one of Firepunk's, or Firepunk's has one of mine. But still won't center on the rotor, so not exactly sure what we're going to do with that. Doing my best on camera here to... oh, well. It is what it is. Okay, guys. So we left off yesterday very frustrated, and I apologize. We are back on the brakes. Now, I don't have the proper brackets yet, but I talked to Lynn over at Firepunk. They had another set on the shelf like I talked about. They actually were mirrored pair. So what Lynn had me do was we got it mocked up, and it's kind of easier to see now. So there's a gap between this caliper here and this rotor needs to sit center. As you could see, because we're on the inside here, the rotor is cheated all the way this way. There's no way to space this back. So what Lynn and I came up with was, I was like, dude, I think we just need to knock this down. Now, Chance McKelvey sent me some pictures showing this caliper sitting below this machine surface, and mine's actually about even. Maybe the caliper sticks out ever so slightly. So what I did was I took measurements. So we have between the caliper, we have 704 thousandths. The rotor is 480 thousandths. So what we did was I took where this distance from this tip here to the rotor, this distance from there to the rotor, and you guys can see here I had 200 thou on this side, and then this was a wrong measurement. I had 24 on the other side. So you add these two together, okay, got us 224 thou. Then I went ahead, divided it. This is the number I needed, okay. I took this number, and the difference between that was 88. So what Firepunk did was they took the last set of brackets they had and took 88 thousandths, machined them down. So they overnighted them, and you know, it's just, God, it's so frustrating because it's like one of those things, like you just want to like bang your head against the wall, but you got to constantly remind yourself that like it is what it is. So anyway, Firepunk got us up and rolling, knowing that we've confirmed measurements of what Lynn had versus what I had, and we have confirmed the spacing, so to speak. I'm going to go ahead and do our wheel bearing adjustments. I'm going to Loctite our caliper on. I can't put the bracket on, obviously, so we won't do that tonight, but I do want to put our axle back in as well. So basically get both axles kind of looking like this with rotors on them, Loctited, torqued, put our axle shafts back in, our new hardware kit to retain our axles. So that way tomorrow when the brakes show up, we can throw them on real quick. And the cool part as well is Firepunk's gonna make me lines. So we're gonna use our factory junction box like I talked about, and we're gonna go hard line from the junction box to this 4-link bracket here. This 4-link bracket, we will bolt a changeover fitting, so it'll go from hard line to soft line, and the soft line will just go from here down to here. This will be a 90 to get it tight into the wheel, and then we'll use flex hose to get it here, and it'll be a mirror copy on the other side as well. So it should be really easy to do the brakes as far as the plumbing goes, and that'll kind of speed things up. So I'm gonna get both sides measured tonight, that way they could start on that, and then get all of this put together, so that way tomorrow night it's just bolting the calipers on. So again, just big thank you to those guys over there. I know Lynn probably felt some of my frustration, even though it shouldn't have gone towards him. He still, you know, did what was right to get me up and going, and I appreciate that. And I'm sure that's not a story that is just for me. Like, I know those guys always try to take care of people. So this is one of the big reasons why I bought this kit through them and not straight through IMS, because I knew if I ran into snags, they always answer the phone. They get their customers taken care of. So even if I would have saved money, I would be wasted so much time. So I'm gonna get y'all set up. We're gonna go ahead, get our wheel bearing adjusted, and then we are also going to get our axle thrown in here, and then we will assemble the other side. Okay, sorry for all the cuts. I had to run, grab stuff. But we have our rotors on and torqued, red Loctite. We have our wheel bearing set. For anyone curious, it's 22 foot-pounds. Then you back off. So the instructions said 30 degrees, and then you go forward to the next one. So if I went forward to the next one, it was like super tight. So I actually went probably 45 degrees and it lined up perfectly with a hole. So I went with that. If it ends up getting loose or whatever, we can always readjust it because they are new bearings, but I'm pretty confident we're going to be okay with that. Then we slid our Yukon 38 spline axles in here, and then just with everything going on, I decided to upgrade to ARP axle shaft studs. Technically, for sled pulling, I should have already had those, but whatever. Anyway, so that is done. Nice piece. You guys saw me touch up the paint on the axle shaft real quick, and that is a fully assembled side. Now, obviously, it'll look a little different with the pads in it, but that's where we're at on this side. I'm gonna go ahead and do the exact same on the other side. Should be a lot faster. I'll save you guys the time lapse. I'll just show you once it's done. And then I think the only other thing I'm going to try and do tonight is just get our trans cooler back home, or maybe like clean them up or something. I don't know yet, but that is on the docket and looks great. Well, unfortunately, our saga of the rear brakes is coming to an end. Big thank you to the Firepunk crew, especially Whitley and Lynn. I don't know if they're the ones that actually machined it, but they're the ones I've been dealing with. So we got our brackets, and our caliper is finally centered on our rotor. So if you look, this was another set of brackets they had on the shelf, and if you could tell, they took off 88 thou. Right here, you can kind of see where originally IMS had this nice chamfer, and I'm assuming Firepunk just put it on a Bridgeport, but hey, I'm not going to be picky. And they are a mirrored set, which means they offset the caliper correctly. So now, guys, I swear I did not try to drag this out. I know sometimes on, YouTube, TikTok, all that, people drag stuff out. It was never my intention to do that on this. So now we're going to go ahead and assemble this for the final time, put our pads on. I am just so excited and so grateful to finally have this done. And then Lynn sent me a picture of the brake line that they made for the rear. They were willing to ship it out, but I had to make the fronts as well. So we'll get those next week. I don't know how much of that we'll film, but I will basically have a hard line from the junction to the 4-link bracket to the 4-link bracket, and then it'll be soft from the 4-link bracket to the caliper. 90-degree fitting there. Lynn set it up with a little tab. I get to weld on the 4-link bracket. It should look really, really nice. It will utilize the factory bracket here for the brake line, so it should be pretty nice. I'm sure we'll have to tweak it a little bit, but heck, as long as they do the double flare, we're good. So tonight we're just gonna put the trans coolers, our brake calipers on, probably route our harness back on the frame, and we can call the rear a success and be done back here. In the essence of saving time, I'm gonna just put these brakes on. It's 4 bolts on each side. I'll show it to you guys when we're done, and then we'll move on to everything else. Swap the bleeder over. There we go. Hot boy brakes, and then give you a little sneak peek over here. This is what it looks like with our street tires on. Pretty crazy. Not gonna lie. It'll look even better with like Bogarts and everything, but that looks pretty cool. Definitely a lot of room for some small wheels. But I'm gonna get the other wheel on, and I need to set this down a little bit so I can get this strap off these coilovers, and then I can go ahead and get our harness and everything ran. The problem is that strap is kind of in the way for fishing things through. Okay, paint's touched up. Probably have to shorten that trans line a little bit, but there's the trans coolers. I touched up the paint on those a little bit. And the harness, I decided I'm going to bring like a soapy bucket of water over here, kind of wash the harness off so it doesn't look so crusty. So we'll leave that for another day. But the back end's at least off the ground, or on the ground. And man, you just look at this thing and you're just ready for it to go real slow. But yeah, in closing, guys, like I said on the last brake video, like, can't thank the Firepunk guys enough. And I know I probably let some frustration out with Whitley and Lynn, and again, it was misplaced, but you know, man enough to know I made a mistake, old enough to apologize for it. So we got the brakes on. They ended up, just like I said, knocking the other set they had down to fit. They fit great. We got it all shimmed. I had to use about 6 thou of shims to get the caliper centered. We got our pads on, trans coolers in, wheels torqued back on. So the rear end, aside from the harness, and we're gonna just throw the regular bed back on for right now, is pretty much done. So we're gonna start making our way forward. I'm not sure yet what we're gonna do next on this. Fitzgerald's event's coming up. Part of me thinks I can make it. Part of me thinks it's a stupid idea. So I'm not sure yet. So as soon as I know, y'all know. I can tell you this: the $6,000 purse that he's put out, although generous, is not nearly enough to make me want to take a bunch of unnecessary risk, and that is no stab at him or any of the sponsors. You're just dealing with tens of thousands of dollars. So I want to make sure it's right, want to make sure it looks good, want to make sure it represents my name well, and that means it takes a little longer. It means it takes a little longer. But hopefully you guys like this one. Drop your comment down below, subscribe if you are not already, and as always, guys, I'll catch y'all on the next one.